Hey guys, today we're going to talk a bit about the challenges of traveling in a van with a dog. Right, Atlas? So, first of all, the space. There is no doubt that the dog will take up a lot of space and their things and everything. So, basically, uh, before we had Atlas, we also traveled with my last dog, Ayla, and we have had our bed on the floor. Now we have an elevated bed. We've traveled with different kinds of crates, and now we've actually ditched the crate. And he's got his little bed on the floor. So it's easy for us to use that space. We can walk across it and so on. But no matter how you do a van build, the dog's sleeping space will always take up space, and maybe also the traveling space, unless you just leave it and let it sleep in the bed. Though we don't have space for him in the bed, to be honest. We hardly have space for ourselves. But I am also not a big fan of sleeping with the dog in the bed because of all the dog hair, basically. Second, it can be challenging sometimes to find parking in dog-friendly places. So you kind of want to find a place where sit with a park or a dog beach, or so some kind of green space or hiking trails or something nearby, so that you can actually enjoy time with your dog. And depending on where you are, it's not always that easy to find. Then it's driving safely and legally. So it depends from country to country what the rules are. But like here in Spain, for instance, you have to drive with the dog in a crate, or it has to have a seat belt. But the dog can actually not sit in the front, which is challenging for us because we only have seats in the front. So while we've always had the dogs in crates before, now lately, as I said, we have ditched the dog crate, and we have used the seat belt in the front, but we have the dog in the back. So this way it works for us now, and he's also sitting in a place where it's a lot more air flowing in now, and it's really hot in summer. But generally, it's important that you check the countries that you travel through and what the legal requirements are to travel with the dog. The fourth thing is rainy days or rainy weeks. Like this winter, we had basically rainy months. It was so much rain. It basically requires a lot of time inside the van. And with a dog, you also have to go out. So it doesn't matter if it's pouring down, you have to take the dog out at some point, right? It has to do his business and also needs to stretch his legs. And the problem with that is that you will always get a wet dog inside the van again. So it can get muddy, it can get wet, and it will be damp from the dog. And to be honest, wet dog smells. And that leaves me to the next point, which are muddy hiking trails. So after it has rained, the hiking trails also become very muddy. So it kind of makes you have to decide where you go hiking with the dog. Like we love hiking, Atlas loves hiking, and we just can't go anywhere with the dog hiking right now after it had rained, after it has rained. Because the last thing you want are those muddy paws all over your van. The next challenge is showering your dog. So normally you just take the dog in the shower. Even if you've been on a muddy hike, you just take it in the shower, clean it with this little shampoo, and have a well-smelling dog. When you're out on the road, it's longer between the showers, and especially the showers with shampoo. We have opted for natural bar shampoo that we found at some artisan markets as we've traveled, that are not harming the environment. So when we find a place where we can shower him with shampoo, at least we don't make more damage. Then the next point is summer travel. We all know how hot it gets in the van in the summer, in a car. The van luckily usually doesn't get as hot as a car, so in like before and after summer, it's still possible to leave the dog in the car with the fan, and not for long, obviously, but you really need to know your van and know how hot it gets. Now it's way too hot, and we have to take him everywhere. It means that when we go to the supermarket, one of us has to be outside with him, or we can, in most supermarkets, we can bind them up outside. And then we'll go fast in and do our shopping and come back out again. But it also means that all tourist attractions that are not dog friendly, like palaces and castles and museums and things like that, we have to do it separately. So one have to be outside with Atlas, and the other one goes in and see it. And of course, it's always nicer to go in together, but that's the price we pay to travel with a dog, and I wouldn't have it any differently, because traveling with him just brings so much joy, and it kind of wins over all the cons, if you can put it that way. Besides, it's kind of make us just do a lot more dog-friendly activities in the summer, and look for river hikes, look for lakes where we can chill at or play with him, and look for dog-friendly beaches and things like that. And then number 8, let's talk about that 14-kilo food bag. I am sorry, guys, but I'm not spending 3 times the amount of money on small food bags. So I'm still gonna buy the big bags, but they take up a lot of space in the van. Next point are long work days. So we are not on a never-ending holiday. We're not on vacation. We basically work every day like everyone else, but we work from the van. So sometimes, like, we do different projects, we work with a lot of different things, and some days just become very long work days. And it's important then that we actually think about taking him out so that he can stretch his legs. So it's not enough just to take him out so he can pee and poop and then in again, because in the van he doesn't get to move around like he would have done in an apartment or in a house. So he will be much more still in the van than he would in a house. And that's why it's so important to take him out regularly so that he can move, so that he can play, use his brain. So we usually do like combined play and training with him. Like we do different tasks that he has to do, and then we throw the frisbee for him, or he has to do tasks so that we throw the stick for him, and he loves it. And that tires him out both physically and mentally. So it's a really good thing to do, but it's so important not to forget about it. And then the last point, which I hope no one else is struggling with, but I can't count the times our kitchen roll or our toilet roll have fallen straight into his water bowl. You heard me right, straight into Atlas's water bowl, and then we have wet toilet paper roll or wet kitchen roll. Somehow it always happens when the rolls are new from the shop and we don't have any extra. So that was our main challenges that we wanted to talk about today, about traveling with a dog in a van. That said, yes, there are challenges, but they are not things that you can't overcome. It's just good to be aware of these things before you head out traveling with a dog. But to be honest, when I got Percy the van, I got it because I wanted to travel full time with my dog. That's my last dog. That she passed away about 3 years ago, before we got Atlas. But basically, the reason why we're traveling in the van was to travel with the dog. So it's so rewarding and it gives so much freedom, and you can really do so much with this lifestyle with your fur baby. Right, Atlas? Hmm? You want another treat? Okay.